right, here we go, guys. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Rob Zdrojewski, and I'm a middle school technology teacher. This is my 14th year teaching 7th and 8th grade tech at Amherst Middle School, which is near Buffalo, New York. And I also teach as an online adjunct instructor in the Canisius College program called the Educational Technologies and Emerging Media. So some of the information I had you grab today from the table talks about that grad program that we have. So if you know of anybody that's looking to either obtain a master's or an advanced certificate in the area of ed tech, our program is a good option because it's fully online. So we do have a lot of students that are outside of New York State as well. What you're looking at on the screen here is my outline. I'm going to keep referring back to this today to keep us on track and as a place to have all of our links and such. The way to grab this document is to start here at my teacher blog, which is robztraining.com. And when you get there first, you will see the first entry is the workshops I'm teaching here at FETC. So we're now looking at the second one down, students as screencasters. And the link to that green sheet is right there. So if you just click on that, you'll have access to that Google Doc. When you have it open, feel free to make a copy of it. Let me show you here. If you haven't seen this before, inside of Google Docs, just go to File and make a copy. And then that way you'll have your own version of it that you can add your own notes and margin, in the margins on the side you can add comments and stuff like that if that helps you as we go. So it's a 2-hour workshop. It's going to go by pretty quick, and I do tend to talk fast. The good news is I'm going to record this, though. You can see I have my image up in the corner of the screen there. I'm going to put this up on my blog after the fact, so it'll be available as a YouTube video that you can watch. So if you want to be notified when that happens, upper right-hand corner of my blog is a place there where you can subscribe by email. And I would say a couple, 2, 3, 4 posts a month is about what I post on my teacher blog. So if you want to follow along with some of the stuff we're doing in my classes, as well as stuff like this from conferences, I try to record presentations like this so that people can benefit if they're not able to attend for whatever reason. So now that you know a little bit about me, I want to take you back to the outline here. And those that are coming in, if you want to just grab one item on the left side of that table, I got a bunch of stuff there you can grab. And as I said, we're recording, so now I'll jump right in to start with my story. So how many of you, by a show of hands, use the flipped classroom content in your classes, where kids watch videos outside of class in order to be prepared for class? Not too many? Okay. So the concept I've been doing, flipped classroom, I wanted to go over my story here, where it started from. It wasn't because it was a district mandate or a district initiative or something I learned in college. It really all came down to being on jury duty. So it's kind of a unique story here. So I received the notice that I have to serve on jury duty. First time in my life, 34 years old, never been called for jury duty before. So as you can imagine, I'm somewhat excited, but someone like, oh man, it's the end of the school year. This is going to take me out of my classroom. How am I going to keep the kids on pace with so many new technology projects I want to get rolling with them? So I came across this software, screencasting software from TechSmith, realizing that I can make videos of myself teaching so that while I'm out doing my jury duty thing for 1 month, 3 days a week, it's kind of different days during that week, I can still keep the kids on track by learning the tools, learning how to do the spreadsheets, the Edmodo, the Google Forms, on and on and on, all these different tech tools, but yet still be outside of the classroom. So I wanted to feature this little story. Has anyone seen this before? And maybe another workshop that I have done? Okay. This is a 3-minute call it a case study, if you will, where the TechSmith folks came out and filmed my students. They interviewed them and interviewed me and said, how are you using our products to keep students going when you're out of the class, especially if it's an illness or a jury duty thing or something like that. So let me take us to this site here. And let's make sure my audio is up okay. So let's take a look at that story, because this kind of sets the stage here of why I jumped into this whole concept of having students and teachers make screencasts. Now it is going to be a high quality version here, and our Wi-Fi is not the best, so we'll see if it buffers okay. I might just kind of pause and let it load a little bit. So the story starts out 2 years ago. It's end of the school year, about a month and a half to go, and I get called for jury duty. So I'm thinking, I don't want the kids to be losing out by me having to tell a sub how to teach them. And usually in the area of tech ed that I teach in, you don't get subs that are qualified to, that are certified in tech ed. So they usually have a hard time following through with the lesson plans that I leave. Let's see if it goes. I'm Rob Zdrojewski. I'm a middle school technology teacher at Amherst Middle School. Right now it's approximately 8:20 in the morning, and in about a half hour the students will be coming into school like a regular routine day.
Mr. Z has been doing jury duty for the past week or so.
And he's been giving us videos through Edmodo to tell us our assignments.
Since he's been gone, we've had a lot of subs, but we still were able to watch the videos, so it's just like he was still in class.
I did it with Snagit. Snagit is a great little tool. I can record whatever's on my screen, including my webcam. So I put in a little corner of the screen myself. So I think it gives like that human element when you can see the person talking to you and not just hear the voice.
Mr. Z's class is really cool, actually. I love it.
I like how we get to use phones and computers in Mr. Z's class.
We were taught how to use Google Docs on the computer, and we had to create a survey.
Well, at the beginning, we had to use Evernote to find all the items we wanted, and then we implanted all those items and their prices into Google spreadsheet.
I went to Edmodo and I found out Monday's assignments because it said Monday's assignments and the date.
And then using that, we, as you can see here, we made.
Let me pause it there. So what they're talking about so far is Google Docs, Edmodo, Google Forms, all these new tools, these tech tools that they've never used before. They have to learn how to use them, first of all, and then actually use them to do a project. The project I'm doing here is, I call it the Ultimate Bedroom Design Project. Imagine that they are awarded $30,000 to build an addition to their house, kind of like a master bedroom suite. So they got to pay for the construction costs. Then when money is left over, can buy the bed, the ping pong table, the hot tub, the chocolate fountain, whatever the crazy stuff is that they want to buy and put inside of this room. So they have to keep track of all that stuff on a spreadsheet. And then at the end, they're going to make a presentation by making a screencast, hence the purpose of this workshop today. So they're doing a show and tell, but instead of doing it live, which is tough to do with 20-some kids in my class with limited class time, it's easier for us to have them make a 3 to 5 minute screencast video, post that on Edmodo so all the kids can benefit by seeing it, even the kids that aren't in their fellow class, and see what kind of stuff they came up with their $30,000. So Ben here is talking about that step where he's showing his screencast. It looks like it's, if I can see that time code, about a 5-minute video. And he's explaining, first I did the drawing plans, then I did the spreadsheet, then I came up with these items, then I realized I had to change my plans. So his thought process is all captured there in a video screencast, which, because it's recorded now, can be watched by not only classmates, but by fellow teachers, administrators, and best yet, parents, because now they can see what their children are doing in the class with that
A
project.
survey to see what people said would be better.
This is my survey, actually, that I offered everybody, which it's got different questions on it, and right here I'm explaining how you can create all the different questions and stuff like that. So,
Well, in the past, without using screencasting, I come back in the next day looking at those plans, and you don't know what you're going to get. In some cases, it's, we tried working on this, but we had trouble, so the kids used it as a study hall.
We're using our work time to hand in our assignments and do the assignments that he's given us.
I thought it was really fun. It's much better than writing an essay on it.
I'm Rob Zdrojewski. I'm a teacher, a father, and a juror, and I'm still teaching my students even though I'm out on jury duty, thanks to screencasting. So a little inside note there for anybody that does something like that. Make sure you say you're a husband if you are married, because I haven't lived that one down yet. My wife reminds me every time that I present that video here at these conferences that, I forget to say that piece. So it's funny because when TechSmith did future case studies of users, the men on the video always say, and I'm a this and I'm a that, and they always say I'm a husband too. So I kind of learned from my misfortune there. So I thought that was a good little way to kind of tell you the story of how I jumped into screencasting and making videos. It came out of necessity, not because it was something that I thought was cool or I wanted to add on to the classroom with technology, but it really came out of a need. So I want to hear your stories now, since we have a couple people here. We should be able to have a couple minutes to do this. When we get to you, give us your background in education. If you're a teacher, if you're an administrator, where you come from, and then your experience level with making screencasts or even having students make screencasts. And I have a couple pathways I can go down today. I can show you traditional screencasting on laptops and desktops using Snagit and Camtasia. And I can also show you using tablets now how to make them on iPads. Yesterday I did a 3-hour workshop and we went really in depth with those. But today I figure I can customize it based on what you guys have access to yourselves and what your students might have. So if you don't mind, if we could start here in the front row.
Yeah, my name is Evan Hill, and I work at University of North Carolina in Greensboro.
Okay.
And my background is secondary social studies, and for the last, since fall of 2011, I've been looking for a grant, which was called Project Enrich.
Okay.
The grant's about to end in March, but it focused on a teacher residency program.
Mm-hmm.
So I worked with pre-service teachers and them and their cooperating teachers.
Okay.
And the new grant that we have focuses more on technology. So I've come here to this conference to look for different tools to recommend and help the pre-service teachers,
Mm-hmm.
help them bring those tools to the school. And then I still have some inductees that I work with. So I have 10 first-year teachers, and then that load will grow with the new grant.
Okay.
So, looking for things with, schools with minimal resources, but ways that, if there's high attendance,
Mm-hmm.
minimal, students in class, ways that the teachers can still get that information out to the students.
Sure. And making screencasts is a great way to do that, especially if you're talking using I'll show you today the hand technique, I call it, using your iPhone to just record some footage and then store it up on Google Drive for free, which is unlimited storage, unlimited bandwidth, no advertisements. And that's a nice free way to have your teaching content available digitized for anyone, especially that is absent, that needs to keep pace with things. Very good. And if we go right across the front row, we'll go here next.
I'm Reed Chadwick, and I'm a parent and a board member at a charter school. I'm assigned to come here to analyze some technology, newer technologies
Mm-hmm.
for our staff. And, I'm just, that's it. I think that's you.
Sure. Very good. Welcome. Next.
I'm Lonzo Caves. I teach here in Orlando
Mm-hmm.
at a K through 12 school. I teach technology to really K through 12.
Okay.
Second and third graders, middle school, and high school, and economics also. I wish I would have gotten a flip in my classroom. This week has been horrible with subs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this would have been awesome. But screencasting, no experience doing that.
Okay.
So really looking at getting into that
Mm-hmm.
for different reasons, and also teaching my students how to do it. But then for me, learning how to do it as well, so that I can flip my classroom and give the students more options, and then teach our teachers how
Mm-hmm.
to flip the classroom. We have a big issue with being able to get qualified subs.
Okay.
So we're not a big technology strong school at this moment,
Mm-hmm.
but we're looking at going in that direction. So trying to figure out which way to go, what are the strong apps we're going to use when we do go one-to-one.
So do your students have devices now?
Currently, they don't.
Okay.
A lot of the kids have their own devices.
Okay.
A lot of the kids have tablets. They have the smartphones.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, there's a no phone policy, so they turn them in the beginning of the day.
Okay.
Which is tough for me because I'm coming from a school that was one-to-one iPads.
Sure.
Out of California, so this is my first year at this school.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to integrate some different things.
Sure. It's like the struggles I work with too, where we're a no device, existing anywhere except Rob Z's classroom, because there we allow devices, and then it gets into the thing. Well, if I can do it in his class, why can't I do it in that class? So, yeah, that's a challenging environment when it's not allowed or accepted in every classroom. And next row.
My name is Christopher King. I'm from Tullahoma City School District in Tullahoma, Tennessee. Spent the last 7 years as a middle school math teacher, but now I transitioned to the technology department where I'm an instructional technology specialist.
Okay.
And in essence, what I do is I help teachers in the classroom better use of technology, best practices,
Mm-hmm.
and as far as what we're doing here today, I know I've been working with several teachers in our district, and our band program has been using Screencastify.
Okay. Yeah.
Nobody's business using for private lessons. We
Mm-hmm.
are one-to-one with Chromebooks in grades 3 through 9 now officially.
Okay.
So now that we have the devices in students' hands, looking at ways that I can help teachers flip the classroom. And I know I've got 2 middle school principals that are really interested in some way forming clubs where students get to be the ones with kind of tech help and get to be that help desk. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of here on behalf of them as well.
Oh, very good. Yeah, using students as tech support is really killing two birds with one stone. They're learning not only the technical skills, but the people skills and those soft skills too to communicate. And it also reduces the load on what the adult staff has to do in terms of training and troubleshooting. So I'm a big fan of that, and I think screencasting is a great way for that, because now kids can be creating those, the top 5 most run into problems and create videos about that, and the custom videos. So we'll dive into, we'll do both sides. We'll show the traditional side and the tablet side, since some of you have Chromebooks, some of you have desktops, laptops. We'll do a good variety then. All right, so back to my little story here. So if we talk about this being a typical classroom, and I remember this when I was in middle school and high school myself, it looked like this. All the desks are in rows. Is this a typical classroom or the atypical classroom? Because that versus that is pretty much just color versus black and white is the difference, but it's still the same idea where everything's in a row. I like the idea of the flipped classroom, so now we have different areas. This is a shot of my classroom. Notice, though, that I have these tables. I built these tables on purpose here because I want the kids to both start and finish class sitting in front of me where we can have face-to-face conversations minus any technology tools. So we make sure that we do touch in with them, touch base, get the vibe and feeling of where everybody is at, address any concerns, anything that their baggage they're coming in with from other classes or emotional things like that. And we make sure before we go to the computers that everybody knows the task at hand. So in my 40-minute class period, probably about 30 minutes or more is spent at the computers or using the iPad minis that we have. But I do like to have that emphasis where we all start and have that morning meeting and then at the end clarify any misconceptions or highlight the achievements of the day. I do have at my desk, though, the lab control software where I can get a little thumbnail image and see everybody's screen too. And that's important because they know that piece there, so that when they're on the computers, they know that, if need be, I could take a screenshot if they're doing something off task. I like it too, where I don't even say a word. If I notice they're playing a game, I can send a little message that pops up on the screen and says, I noticed you may be struggling. Is there anything I can help you with? And that's kind of like a gentle reminder to them that, like, oh, I shouldn't be doing that cool math game. I should be working on my essay assignment or whatever the case is. So having that ability does help. But that doesn't apply when they're using mobile devices because there's no way for me to see their screen or control what they're doing. So we work on that digital citizenship piece there where we talk about glass down. If the teacher calls glass down, that means take your device and put it literally glass down right on the spot so we can gather everybody's attention. So that has eased some concerns for, and this might help for you especially, teachers that are afraid of having mobile devices in their classroom because they're afraid of losing control. If you can establish that term, glass down, and all the kids know what that means, it really doesn't get to that point where you're as a teacher you feel lost because the kids are engaged in what they're doing and not paying attention to the teacher. So I treat it like a fire drill. When I say glass down, it's just like the fire drill bell goes off. You're supposed to know what to do right when that happens. And we test the kids too, because I have sometimes administrators that walk in my room to see what's going on. And when they're there, I purposely say, all right, guys, glass down. I got to show you something. And I demonstrate how easy it is to just hear those phrases and put the device down. So tied to that here is I like to cover the definition of what flipped learning is, since I mentioned that earlier today. It's a pedagogical approach. So in other words, it's how I teach. Instead of doing direct instruction live in front of the students all the time, I only do that some of the time, because most of it now moves from the group learning space to the individual learning space because of the fact, and it doesn't really say it in here, because of the videos, because kids know that they can get my teaching at their own pace rather than my pace of delivering it. They can pause, rewind, and fast forward me anytime. They can rewatch me at any time. They can even make me talk faster and make me talk slower, as you'll see what Google Drive and YouTube allows you to do to speed up and slow down the pace of a video. So I'm a big fan of flipped learning. I would say about 6 years or so is my experience using flipped learning in my classroom. The left-hand side was kind of the stuff I used to do, teach live all the time, whole 40-minute class periods. Now, like more on the right side, like this example shows, kids are more engaged. I get to float around group to group, or teams of 2 sometimes they're working in, and really touch base with each kid more individually. So I feel like it's a better use of my 40 minutes. Yes?
When you start the day, they've had their assignments already, or they've viewed their assignments.
Mm-hmm.
Are you starting, like you say, at the tables?
I start at the tables, yep.
And you say, okay, as a summary, this is what we're going to be doing, and did you split into groups, or did they just automatically?
Well, usually at that point, they know what groups they're in, because we do a lot of longer-term projects that span weeks at a time. So they'll know what teams they're on. We'll clarify any misconceptions or especially I use Edmodo as our platform. If I notice a lot of kids are asking similar questions about, how come we have to figure out angles and triangles? What's the reason for that? I'll address that and I'll say, well, we're doing our programming, and out there in the hallway we have squares, so I need you guys to figure out what is the length of the hypotenuse, so that's why we're doing it. And then it's, oh, okay, now I see why we're doing it. So a lot of times it's that kind of stuff where they're wondering why is it that we're going down this path, or why is it that we're learning this information. And like you said at the beginning of class, and then sometimes at the end of the class too, we have those conversations. Yep. So we talk about who's in the driver's seat, right or left. You can see teachers and more in the driver's seat on the left and students on the right. Passive versus active learning, and then a question that John Bergman likes to use a lot. He's kind of one of the pioneers, they claim, of flipped learning. What's the best use of my face-to-face time? I don't necessarily have to stand in front of them and talk about the angles of a triangle. I can put that in a video and maybe explain it in 2 minutes in my video versus a 7-minute explanation in class. So it comes down to condensing time. Because there's the ability to just keep talking and show things on a screen when you're recording, it doesn't impede the fact of, okay, someone's got to go to the bathroom. Someone just walked in, I got to handle this task. It takes those pieces out when you have a condensed down version of your plain teaching itself. So of course it is going to be front loading. It's going to take a little bit of time to create those videos, but the investment of time is worth it, because what happens then is after you do it once, you have those videos available for the next time you teach that unit or lesson, and you might just make small adjustments on it. So I do have to admit that right up front. It's not going to be easier. It's going to be a little harder, because you have to front load and think ahead about where might they struggle in this project and make videos for that. But then after that, you have it, and as long as your curriculum doesn't keep changing year after year, that's a very helpful thing. So that's my story into the flipped classroom. Now we'll get into the projects, the teaching the teachers, student screencasting projects. I like this quote here, which is, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, think about what is then a video worth. Because if you see a picture and you say, okay, a picture's worth 1,000 words, I get it, but what if I need to know more than just what's inside of that picture? My phrase that a lot of my colleagues hear me say is, it's quicker to talk than it is to type. All right, think about that. Quicker to talk, easier to talk than it is to type. So if someone right now said to me, Rob, I need to figure out, how do you translate a Google Doc? I got an ESL student in my class, and she only speaks French. She can't read my documents. How do you do that? Well, I could write them an email back and say, step 1, open up your Google Doc. Step 2, go to Tools, drop-down menu, look for Translate. At that point, I may have lost them already, because they're thinking, wait, Google Docs, is that the Gmail thing? Where do I go for that? How do I get to that? So for me, it's just quicker to answer a question back by making a screencast. So I'll do that right now. Let's demonstrate that and pretend a colleague just asked that exact question, how to translate a document. So I will hit my little record button. I'm going to select an area of the screen here. Let's say just about that portion. And this is, by the way, I'm using Snagit. Snagit is a $25 program, which I am giving a copy of that away today as one of our door prizes, as well as this stand, which I'll be talking about later. We have a little game show event we're going to play at the end, where you guys are going to compete against each other to try to get the first prize, but more on that in a little bit. So record, and you can see that's moving there because it's picking up my built-in mic here on the laptop. If you're using a Mac device, the Apple does a pretty good job with building in microphones on their tablets and laptops. But if you're using a Windows machine, you probably would have a USB microphone to get better audio quality. And I'm going to hit record. And here we go. All right, hello, Mr. Smith. I just wanted to answer your question back by making you a screencast. All right, you were asking about in Google Docs how to translate. Well, if you look up under the Tools area, and then you go to Translate Document, Google now has a whole bunch of languages in here. So I think whatever you're looking for, you mentioned French is one of the options. You can choose that. And when you click Translate, what it's going to actually do is open a new tab up with a translated version of that Google Doc. So what's nice is it doesn't mess around with your original document. You still have that safe. But now this is the modified document. Let's see if I can scroll it down here. And I myself do not speak French, but someone that does speak French might be able to recognize some of the words in here, and maybe that helps them. That'll help that student a little bit, because I know it did help with one of my students that struggled with it. I showed her how to do that, and she was just going to Tools, Translate, and doing that anytime we were dealing with Google Docs. So I hope this screencast helps. Let me know, and I can help you out with any other questions. Thanks. All right, so that took me 40-some seconds, I think. So here's the playback of what we have, I'll hit play and you can see.
All right, hello, Mr. Smith. I just wanted to answer your question back by making you a screencast. All right, you were asking about in Google Docs how to translate.
Now, I forgot to do this. I was supposed to do a pretend sneeze in there, or let's pretend the bell went off, or the phone rang, or a student interrupted or something. You do have the ability to do some trimming here. So let's say, for example, that phone rang right about here. I can say, well, that segment to that segment, about three seconds worth there, I want to cut that out. So I hit cut, and now it shows me the seam right there.
Under the tools area, and
so
then you
jump
go
right
to
over.
Google Now has a whole bunch of languages in here.
All right, so you didn't even know that that happened then. You can do some rudimentary, very basic level trimming when you're inside of Snagit that way, and then you have your video ready to go. So now the question becomes, how do I get this video to the person that needs to see it? I don't really like to do file attachments because I feel like that could, depending on what email you're using, that could really fill up your inbox pretty quick. So I'm a fan of putting it out there on the cloud. I've got a couple of options here. One is I can use Google Drive. How many people have used Google Drive? Okay, that's now become my preferred option because for schools like ours, when you're a Google Apps school, as of about 3 months ago, I believe, 3 or 4 months ago, Google Now gives you Google Now has unlimited storage for schools. So, which is pretty amazing because now it used to be, okay, I have 10 gig, now I got 20 gig, now I got 30 gig. Now you got as much as you want. So there's no worry about making lots of videos and storing them there because you'll never run out of space, which is a pretty amazing thing. And it's at no cost too. So that's one option I like to use. Another one, though, I could use is screencast.com. And this is the one that the company that makes the software, TechSmith, this is their hosting solution. They'll give you 2 gig of free storage and 2 gig of bandwidth transfer every month. And for most users, that's plenty enough. If it's just your students watching it, I've never run out of space that way with 2 gig and 2 gig of storage and transfer. But if you're using it in a more commercial sense or district-wide, thousands of teachers, then you might need to pay the $10 a month for the premium level account, which gives you more storage. But I like it because I think it's a very convenient method. It's one click here. Our Wi-Fi is kind of slow today here at the conference, so it's taken some time to upload, but this is a little blue progress bar that would show you when it's done. And when it is done, it gives you back a URL that you can share out in an email message. So that's typically what I'll do is I'll email the person back and say, here, watch this link, and give them the link. So to show you that link, let me switch here to something that's done already so you can see the finished result. And for that, in fact, I will go to... I'll go into my grad course that I'm teaching now. Since it's an online program, I never get to see the students face-to-face and vice versa. I like to do a lot of screencasts for them so that when it's time to do something technical, they can watch a video. For example, setting up their Edmodo accounts is what we have to do in the first week. They can click on, let's say I got to right-click on it, and then open link. For them, it would just be a regular click. And here's a screencast that is me showing them what to do, step by step. Let's see if this plays because I'm
Welcome,
also
everyone.
uploading.
My name is Rob Zdrojewski, and I am one of the instructors in...
Now it's buffering there, so that's why it's not moving.
Everyone, my name is Rob Zdrojewski, and I am one of the instructors in the Canisius program for the Education Technologies and Emerging Media.
Now I do like to say I'm a fan of putting the person speaking in the video. I really think that's important because I myself, when I went for my second master's at Canisius, it was a fully online program, and very rarely did I even know who the professor was that I was learning from. It was just always correspondence through email and through text-based format. So I like to see the person that I'm learning from in there. I think it's a psychological thing. My students don't feel like, Mr. Z puts us in front of the computer and makes us watch videos. They're thinking, yeah, Mr. Z teaches me. I just see him live, and sometimes I see him on the screen, but I always see him that way. So it's one of those psychological things that I think many of us have that human-to-human connection. If we can see the person talking to us, it really emphasizes that the learning is taking place from another human being and not just from a computer screen. So the trick to doing that is by using an app like I'm using right now. It's called Picture-in-Picture, PIP2. How many of you use Macs, desktops or laptops? Okay. So things like this do exist on the Windows platform as well, but I just want to show it to you what it looks like here on a Mac. Mac App Store. So on the Mac App Store, PIP2 is an app that just costs a few dollars, and basically all it does is it puts your webcam image on the screen up in the corner. Let's see, it went down, so it's only $1.99. So for $2, you can have yourself on the screen like you see here. If you want to be bigger, you can drag a corner, drag it bigger, it'll always be floating on the top, so no matter what's open on your screen, it'll always be there. So I find it very convenient, especially when I present like this, to know if I'm on screen or if I'm halfway chopped off the screen. I need to know where I'm positioned at all times, just so that so that my recording does make sense. So I just dock it up in the corner like that, and then it just runs in the background. So if you're on a Mac, that's a good $2 investment there to have that, so that whenever you record the screen, you're also including yourself onto it. All right, so let's look at some student samples here. This is from I've renamed the project. I used to call it Tech Under 90 Sec. So you had a minute and a half, 90 seconds, to address a question from a teacher, such as, how do I make a Gmail signature? Or how do I share a Google Doc? Or how do I change the theme in my inbox? A lot of questions like that come up that are really simple to answer, and really could answer them in 20 seconds or less. But I teach the students, when you're making a screencast for somebody, don't just give them the here's how you do it, A, B, C, D, E steps, but give them the theory behind it. Tell them why they want to share a Google Doc. What's the benefit of collaborating with other people on a document versus just one person working on it? So give them not only the how, but the why, and combine it together in a nice little video. And what's really cool about it is, this is just a small subset of our projects, but what I would end up doing, let me switch to list view, is I would have them categorized by folder. So if the one question was, how do I share a Google Doc? Maybe I have 30 kids that all made a video about that topic. The teachers can go in and say, okay, I can see, should I watch Colin's or Cameron's or Diana's? Oh, I know Diana. I want to learn from her. So they can go in and click on that video and learn from that student. So it's kind of neat because, yes, there's repeat. A lot of kids are making the same videos, but it gives opportunities there for teachers to learn from the students that they know. This one might be low. Yeah, you can kind of hear her. She's quiet. What I have in my class is the headsets we use are the Microsoft LifeChat LX3000 is the model. And I like those because they used to be about $40, then $30. Now they're about $20 on Amazon. So for $20, you get a USB-style headset that has the nice piece gets out of the way, so then when they don't need the mic, I just flip it up. And I have one of those connected in my lab to all 20-some computers, Windows machines that we have in our district. So the kids will wear that and record their voices. We'll be doing this project actually again in about 3 weeks now for this year, where they will make videos by wearing those headsets and recording their voices explaining something. So let's see if I can pick another one where it's a little bit, you can hear the voice. This one must be about creating an application shortcut.
Hi, this is Laura, and today I'm going to show you how to create an application shortcut to Edmodo for your desktop. So it'll be easier and faster for you to get to Edmodo during technology. Okay, so first off, you're going to want to open Google Chrome and go to the Edmodo website.
Now imagine if she tried typing this in a list format of like step 1, step 2. It just wouldn't be the same.
Horizontal bars that you have to click on. Going down, you should see Tools, and to the right, there should be Create Application Shortcuts, and you should click on that. Okay, this page pops up, and it says Create Application Shortcuts in the following places. You want to put the check mark in the
All right, so I think you get the idea there, right? It's the student walking you through the steps piece by piece. We always make sure we have other students proofread them and watch them and look at the rough draft. I always make kids think, the first time you record it, don't think that's the final copy. Think of that as your draft copy. That needs to get approved by at least 3 to 5 other students so that they can catch things that you might not have caught. And I do that with my own videos too, because maybe I'm thinking, oh, they're going to know about when I say the 3-bar button up in the corner of Chrome. But then I think some of them are like, what's that? The 3-bar what? What? Isn't that called the hamburger menu? Some people call it that. And that's right there underneath my picture, the button there. So you can't always assume people are going to know what it is you're referring to. So have someone else watch it first and leave comments on what they think.
So when you're doing your videos and the students, if they're teaching something, how much do you leave for the students to figure out while they're working? And how much instruction do you give them as far as step-by-step, this is exactly how you do it, now try it yourself, or try it, but I want you to do this instead?
Yeah, what I tend to do is I make a screencast of how to make a screencast. So I'll show them an example that they already know the answer to. They all know how to log into their Google accounts. So I'll say, watch, I'm going to make a screencast if you didn't know how to log into your Google account. I'll do that as a live demonstration in front of them so that they can ask questions and say, no, what about the mic? What should you do with the mic? But I'll also make a screencast as well. So the moment they sit down at the computer and they're ready to record, they kind of remember what I did maybe even days ago from class, but they're thinking, okay, I want Mr. Z's screencast right now because I'm ready to learn it now and do it now, so I'll watch the steps now. So I call that just-in-time learning. They might have gotten the overview, days or weeks ago, but now it's time to do the task, and they need to know the nitty-gritty details. So I have them watch a more detailed screencast right before they hit record. And in fact, if you saw when I had this document open, this is a common format that I like to use for all of my workflows, so that the child can see, okay, these are the steps. On the right-hand side, I can see what I'm doing, but each step is broken down into smaller chunks, so that I can watch, okay, I'm ready to do step 3, the many features, so I'll watch just this video, and that covers only the features. So I like to take the overall project, break it into smaller pieces, so that these pieces can be learned over a number of days, and not just all in one sitting. Does that help answer your question? So I do this in Google Docs. I make the 2-column table format, and I link all the videos on the left there. So as something changes, let's say Google changes or Edmodo changes the login screen, I don't want to have outdated videos. So now if I only have to re-record this video, like a 2-minute video, that's much easier to do, rather than if I had one long 20-minute video, now I have to scrap that whole thing and re-record the whole 20-minute video over again. So that's another bit of advice when you're getting into screencasting, is chunk everything into very small pieces. It's better to have 10 1-minute long videos than one 10-minute long video, if that makes sense, so that you kind of chapterize everything in case you have to change things along the way. Another good piece of advice John Bergman always mentions too is never say things in your video like, hello fall 2015 students, because now what if I use that video in spring? Or you say, all right, in period 3, we're going to do this, and the kids are like, I'm not in period 3, I'm in period 8. So never say steps or orders, because if you think ahead, kind of future-proof yourself for your videos, you might be using them later on. So now I'll say, all right, when you click on this semester's link, I'll use a phrase like that in a more generic sense, so that I can reuse videos. Because it does become quite tedious if you're forced to re-record your videos every semester or every unit that you do. All right, so back to the... so you can see I got a bunch here. These are the top requests from teachers. Oh, and by the way, how we got these requests is we used Google Forms. How many of you are familiar with Google Forms? All right, so Google Forms is a great way. SurveyMonkey is another paid tool. I think it might be a free version too. But any of those online form fill-out tools or survey tools are great, because now teachers, you can ask them, what's your top 3 questions? If you could have any 3 questions answered when it comes to using a computer, what would those things be? And then we look and see what are the popular requests. And then I say, okay, guys, this is our list of things we got to make. Here's our menu. Pick a couple off of here to make it, and then I usually number them. So if how to share a Google Doc is video 102, a kid could say, okay, Mr. Z, I got 102 done. We got another one I can make? Okay, 103 is how to use Edmodo. All right, I'll take that one. So they're really working as tech support in a sense, learning themselves how to best explain it and then teaching someone else. Because really, as we all know as educators, the best thing to teach is if a kid can take the role of a teacher, that means they've internalized it already as a student. Because you can't be a teacher unless you've been a student, no matter what you're teaching. All right, back to my outline here. So we looked at the student samples. I showed you a lesson plan format for my higher ed stuff, but here's the example for the actual project, the Tech Under 90 Sec. You have a link to it, so feel free, if you're going to replicate what I'm doing here, make a copy of this for yourself. And this is a nice workflow here. I give them the specifications right up front, so the video they make has to be between 1 to 1.5 minutes long. Focus just narrowly on one topic per the screencast, because we don't want to overwhelm anybody. Give them both the why and the how. Make it personable, and I say, let us hear your smile. If they don't want to put themselves in the webcam feature, I'm okay with that. I don't force them to do that. Some kids like to do it, and they're okay with it because they see me doing it, and they want to do that same kind of task. But if they're just going to use their voice, they got to make it sound very happy. So there's a difference saying, all right, today we're going to share a Google Doc, versus, all right, let's take a look on how to share a Google Doc. So just that one little bit alone there, it makes the viewer think, oh, okay, cool, this person's excited. This probably is going to be a good video I'm about to watch, so I'm going to stay and keep watching it. Versus, oh, that doesn't sound right. I'm going to go find a different student that's going to teach me that. So we talk about hearing your smile, kind of like in the radio world, what they say. And then I always have them start out looking at previous students' examples. So they get kind of an idea right off the bat, what are we going to do for these video projects. They choose their topic, learn about the 5 categories that we're going to grade it on. That's for the rubric that I use to grade all of our projects. And I believe in having students evaluate their work too. So I use a rubric where scales of 1 to 10, the student circles what number they think they fall on the scale of 1 to 10 first. I kind of look at that and I think, yeah, he's right. He is about an 8 or 9. So I'll give that as well. So then I circle underneath it. If they think they're a 10 and I think they're a 5, they'll see the discrepancy there, and then I'll put a comment in and say, you did stutter a lot, or you did fumble over your words, and you could have maybe re-recorded that. So let's not give it a 10. Let's either try again if you want to make it a 10, try again, or this particular example that you made would be more like a level 5. So the rest here is just the workflow steps. This is probably like a 2-week project or so if we did it every day. I now see my students every other day, so everything I do is double the time now. But this makes it feasible so that kids, whatever step they walk into the classroom on, they could just jump in on the step that they're at and not need me to do a live demonstration for every single task that they do. So it's kind of like digitally multiplying yourself. There's 25 of me in the classroom because there's 25 computers. So when they need to play, pause, and rewind, it becomes a possible thing. So that's the workflow. And then we get to, if you're interested, I have a couple of articles that have been published in national EdTech journals about this project. Gives a little bit more insight of how we got started with it and the tools that we use. Now we talk about final exams. I experimented last year, instead of giving a paper-based or a bubble sheet final exam, I said make a screencast. And I'm going to watch your screencast, no more than 5 minutes long, where I see your explanations on why you chose to do the things that you did, and a kind of a highlight of everything you did for the entire semester with me. That ends up being pretty neat. It's like a show and tell that they get to go and brag about the stuff they did, and also talk about the challenges that I would not have known about. So when they say like, yeah, this video here took me like 26 retries to make, and I'm thinking, wow, I thought you maybe 1 or 2 shots, you got it. So I didn't realize that it took so much there. So it allows me to have insight on their thought processes when I get to hear a narrated video by them telling me what they did on the Lego robotics project or the caring message video project or whatever it is that we did along the way. So I have an example of that here, I think from Simon. And Simon talks about, this is the Ultimate Bedroom Design Project. So I'll play just a little bit of it here so you can get a flavor of it.
Hi, I'm Simon Epler, and today I will be showing you our dream bedroom tech project. What we were supposed to do for this tech project was spend $30,000 on money to build our own, dream room. So as you can see here, I have made possible room sizes where I have seen like some of the rooms sizes that I would maybe think about getting, and I picked this one, which was the one that I wanted because it was an under budget amount and it was a good amount of space. So after that, we made a classmate survey here and then summed up all the stuff that we wanted under $30,000.
All right, so he's going through the spreadsheet, the money piece, the survey piece. At the end, if it buffers here and I can play it, he talks about designing it in 3D on a free app called Floor Planner, which you can use with Google.
Arcade machine. I could put light switches, and then I can have a revolving door, because who doesn't want a revolving door in their room? And that a glass kind of window. And I got my dog on my loft bed, and you can see it in 2D. It kind of shows better.
Now notice where he is. That's not a classroom. That's actually his bedroom that he's recording this in. He was using the screencasting tools that we use in class because you can download a free 30-day trial if you don't want to spend the $20 to buy Snagit and record these anywhere that you have access to a computer. Now they've even done, within the past couple of months, TechSmith has their software available for free as a Chrome extension. So if you're using the Chrome browser, you can install it right inside of there for free and make screencasts like this. You wouldn't get the nice picture-in-picture there. There's other tools. Screencastify, I think was one you mentioned. Screencastify does allow you to install on Chrome, have your picture-in-picture window in there too, which is kind of neat because that's something that Snagit does not yet have. So there are free tools if you don't want to even spend the $20 where you can make videos like this and take somebody through a tour of what you've created on the screen. So it really makes a nice video portfolio, expanding upon what a multiple choice bubble sheet does not do. So I know the current political climate is, they don't like that because that's hard to quantify. I mean, how do you objectively grade a video like this? It's a lot tougher to do. But in my opinion, it's much better because it gives me so much more insight on what the student gained, which then helps me as a teacher because next semester I know what to cover more. If a lot of people are struggling on stuff that I didn't even realize, I can change my course of instruction that way. So I like that one from Simon because I think he adds a little bit of humor and personality into it as well. So you get to see, his insights from a variety of perspectives that way. So another lesson plan for another student screencasting project is the screencast summary. And this is what Simon was just doing with his there. So this is similar to the video project that kids make for teachers and training the teachers, but slight difference here because now they have to, in this particular project, have 5 different things that they talk about: the spreadsheet, form, survey, final budget, and the 3D floor plan. And they go through this workflow, which you can see is about 11 steps. This one's a pretty lengthy project, about 3 to 4 weeks, since it's the summary now of a project they've been working on. But as you saw, it's a great way to hear from the student themselves and see what their experience has been with the project. Other student samples, let's see what I put in here. This link may be going to... Okay, there's a couple more. So a couple more bedroom design projects here. If you're interested, you guys can check out those links on your own because I've given you the link. And these are, listed by students' names. These are the projects. And because you don't usually, Simon's was the one exception because he used the webcam feature, but all the other students, they really chose in this time not to do that. So we put first names and last names on there for growing their digital footprint. So somewhere down the road, someone might be looking to hire Hannah for, let's say, their architecture firm. If they do a Google search and they put in her name, they might actually come across this video where they can see her work as a 7th grader and see what she was capable of doing then. So we make sure that whatever it is something the student would be proud of years down the road. I won't put it on Google Drive and make it public unless we know for sure it's something that the student would be proud of. And therefore, this is now part of that student's digital footprint. And I think that's really neat because that might happen. This is a student I know that really is into architecture and design and engineering. So maybe someday someone does come across this and decide she's going to be the candidate to take the job or come into my college because I found something from 5 or 10 years ago that shows that she knew what she was talking about. So building our students' digital footprint I think is important, and the easiest way to do that is always tag their first name and last name on something they did. If they're under the age of 13, it does involve, from a more legal standpoint, parental consent. But whenever it's just their voice talking and you don't see the image of them, it's a little bit more protected because no person out there could identify Hannah by what she looks like unless they know her personally. But finding content made by the student online is findable by a Google search because it has first and last name in there. All right, so now we'll get into some of the screencasting on what I call the traditional methods, which would be on the Windows or a Mac, or I should actually slash that and say Chromebook. How many people here said they had Chromebooks? I heard a couple. Okay, that's our school too. They're starting to do that with all 6th graders and then all 9th graders and then move it up each year from there. All the teachers were given a Chromebook last year to use. So what I'm using now is really similar to like I was using a Chromebook because I'm using a Mac laptop here, but I'm running the Chrome browser. So if this was a Chromebook, you'd see exactly what you're seeing on the screen here. So we can start with Jing, Snagit, and Camtasia. Is anybody familiar with those three? Any of those three, Jing, Snagit, Camtasia? Okay. These are made by the company called TechSmith. TechSmith has been around for over 30 years. They're based out of Michigan, and they really are the industry standard when it comes to software that you can buy for recording your screen. I like to say good, better, and best. Jing is the good, Snagit's the better, and Camtasia is the best. As you can imagine, price goes up with each level there. Quick overview though, Jing is free. You get a 5-minute limit on what you can record, and I started with Jing many years ago and I recommended it, but now I really don't as much. The team has kind of abandoned that project a little bit. They're putting their resources more into using Snagit and Camtasia. But it's good for someone that wants to just try it and is not bothered by the 5-minute limit to record videos. Works across Mac or PC or Windows, so it's on both platforms. But it records in a Shockwave flash format, SWF, and that's really not a very common video format. It doesn't play back nicely across all the different mobile devices that we use today. So for those reasons, I usually say start out by using Snagit. Snagit is what you saw me use earlier to make my screencast. It has very basic editing features, not a timeline involved like Camtasia does, but it's for just taking still images or making videos in a matter of minutes. And here's some of the highlights of what it has. As I showed you, we captured something, we recorded the video, and then we can send it to a variety of different places. So the cost of that for one individual educator is $29, but because if you have the little white slip of paper that I gave out there, I have a coupon code, RobZ $20 is what it is. In the educator store, you get 20% off. So for you guys, it would be, I think, $23 to get a license of it, which I think is money well spent. I remember at the end of last year in June, a math teacher wanted to make screencasts for his students. The district was not buying any software at that point, so he said, all right, fine, I'll spend $20 of my own money and I'll buy it. He came back in September, told me that was the best thing that he ever did, because now he had the summer to use the software, made all sorts of videos, and now the pressure was off instead of performing right in September. Now he knew that he already performed in his videos. Students are going to come back, start with those, and that gives him a little buffer of time to make videos for October or November. So kind of like, it's like you're teaching for the future right now, and you're having your content ready to go. So I think it's tough to tell teachers, spend your own money, but I guess the bottom line is, if it's really tough for the district to buy you it, the $20 you spend on your own is really going to be money well spent, a good investment in terms of having a tool that can allow you to create videos of your teaching. So after Snagit, the benefits there is unlimited length, so you're not dealing with the 5-minute limit. It records in MP4 format, which is a more universal format, and it has better quality audio too. I've become kind of a connoisseur when it comes to watching screencasts. I can tell right off the bat, is that a good microphone they're using? Like this one here's a $200 mic that I'm using for the recording today, or the built-in mic on the laptop, which tends to have the fan noise running at the same time, or if they're using one of the headsets, you can tell if it's really close, you can hear the P's whenever they say the popping sounds in the mic. So I like Snagit better because it does a better job with audio recording as compared to Jing. Consider it maybe cassette tape quality versus CD quality audio. If you think in terms like that, it's a much jump up when it comes to using Snagit. And then when you get to the top of the line, you're dealing with Camtasia Studio, either for Windows or for Mac. The Windows one is a little bit more expensive. And as I said, I do have software copies to give out today. TechSmith has given them to me to give out to you guys as door prizes. This one here, the difference is now you have a timeline. I thought they were going to show it here, but it looks like I don't think they have it there. The timeline is for, you can chop up that video really finely. No time limit. No, it's an unlimited time limit, just like Snagit is. But now you can really go in and you can add zooms. You can dim the screen and really make a certain part bright to draw emphasis. You can draw on arrows. So it gives you a lot more bells and whistles, but it is a little bit more complex. So someone just starting out, especially students, I wouldn't throw them right into Camtasia just yet. I would let them try Snagit first to get the hang of making screencasts, and then eventually migrate to using Camtasia, where you can do a lot more really cool stuff. And by the way, like I said, I am using Camtasia right now. I can show you. I've been recording for 51 minutes. So everything I've been saying in the last 51 minutes is being recorded, audio here and the camera there, so that I can throw this up on YouTube at the end, and you guys will be able to rewatch any piece of this. Yes?
With this one, are there any apps available where you can, like this long one you're doing now, could you split it up?
With Camtasia, you'd be able to split it up. You'd be able to chop it on the timeline and then publish out each piece as separate pieces.
That's with Camtasia.
Yes. If you want to do something like that, Camtasia would be your ticket to do that.
And are you only screencasting what you're saying, or what's on the actual computer?
Everything that you're seeing on that screen is being recorded. Yep. And then what I actually will be able to do is decide where I want myself to be. Instead of in the upper right-hand corner, I can move that window and have my picture-in-picture effect be anywhere else on the screen. So it is really high-level software that lets you do a lot of cool stuff after the fact, kind of in post-production, as we call it. So sometimes I use that. Most of the time, though, I use Snagit just to make quick 1 or 2 minute videos. All right, so we talked about the 3, good, better, best. Snagit for Chrome, as I mentioned, is free. It's web-based. The links I've got right there for you. And it is, if you follow my mouse there in the upper right-hand corner, there it is there. I have it installed here. So what I could end up doing is let's do an image first. Maybe I don't need to make a video. Maybe I just want to highlight a couple of things on a screen. So I can selectively choose my area, and then I hit the camera button, and it takes in a sense, a digital picture. So now maybe I can do the annotations that I want. Like I can say, let's put an arrow there. And then maybe I want to circle something that's on the screen. Once it's drawn, then you can grab it and, I think you can grab it and move it then, right? Yeah, you can grab it and move it. So you can annotate on the screen like that. You can even put words on it if you needed to. And then let's say I'm ready to share that with somebody. I hit these blue buttons down here, and I can either grab a link to it, or I can download that image so it's on my hard drive. I usually do grab a link, and it says right there, a URL has been put on your clipboard. So now I'll show you if I open up a brand new tab, and let's paste in that link. It's a Google link. Notice it's nice and short, so if someone had to type it in, it would be an easy thing to type. And it ends up being a image in the cloud, so you can just send someone the link to it, and this is what they would then get. It's stored inside of it's tied to your Google Drive account. So if I need this in the future, I can just go to my Google Drive account and let's see if I have it. It might be tied to my school account. Maybe, maybe not. There's my TechSmith folder. Actually, that's probably it right there. So untitled image. It's probably there. So it automatically throws it in there, and as you can see, yeah, there it is. So I have my history of all the stuff images and video clips I've taken. They're all saved nicely in the cloud, so I can always come back to them. I can rename them. I can organize them into folders if I wanted to. So it's really nice. The Snagit for Chrome allows you to do that for images and also for video. Now, I'm not going to attempt doing the video because I'm using Camtasia at the same time. I might crash the computer if I did that. But same idea as when you saw me use Snagit a little bit ago. You'd select your area of the screen, hit record, and then you'd use your voice. And you'd talk, and everything on your screen would be recorded. So one of the big reasons why TechSmith came up with that tool is because schools like mine and like many of yours have Chromebooks. And if you have a Chromebook, you can't install traditional Snagit or Camtasia because those are only intended for Mac and for Windows. So it kind of left us out with not having any tools. So TechSmith came up with that, Snagit for Chrome. Another one too that I like to recommend is, I have it over there, Screencastify, which allows you to capture, I usually leave it on tab. See, as I'm talking, it knows the mic is there. And you can embed the webcam, even select where it's going to be embedded on the screen. And it tells you your video will be recorded at those dimensions at 30 frames a second. It shows me a preview while I'm going, and then if I hit start recording, I'd be making a screencast just like I was doing with Snagit before. And again, that one is free. I think if you pay for it, if you upgrade to premium, it goes beyond a 10-minute limit of recording. But quite honestly, if you're making videos longer than 10 minutes, you might lose your audience. So I tend to think no more than 5 minutes for a video to keep the audience's attention. So those are some of your options there. TechSmith for Snagit and Screencastify, both free. And then a new building or district-wide solution. This is more for, if you guys in the audience were administrators, I'd really kind of show you this one. If you want many of your teachers across the district using screencasting tools, TechSmith relays a neat option that they came up with about a year ago. Again, completely cloud-based, so the IT staff is not managing their own servers at all. But what it does is it gives every person in your organization a license to make videos. They can download the software on any device, whether it's a home device or a school device, so that makes it flexible. And then one big button to record, and when you're done recording, you give it a name, and it emails you the link. So it makes it very streamlined. You don't have to worry about file formats or where to store it or dimensions of recording, none of that stuff. They've kind of really simplified it so that your non-tech-savvy users can basically DVR their lessons when they're teaching off of a computer screen. So it's a neat concept. It costs a couple $1,000s a year for a subscription, so it is a little bit pricey. But if you compare that to buying individual licenses for people, it ends up being a better deal. So something just to consider on a very broad level for an entire building or entire district that's wanting to have everybody flip the class or do screencasts. All right, so we talked about the traditional platforms, desktop, laptop, Chromebook. Now we switch to iPad and tablet screencasting apps. The top 5 I recommend are listed here: ScreenChomp, Nomia, EduCreations, Explain Everything, and Coach's Eye. Has anybody used or seen any of those before? Which ones have you seen?
Coach's Eye, I use all the time.
Cool. For what kind of stuff do you do with that?
Coaching football, basketball, track and field.
Yep. It's really well suited for sports related stuff. Anytime you want to analyze things in slow motion, zoom in, draw on top of the screen. I always tell people it's just like when you watch a hockey game. In Buffalo, where I am, at Buffalo Sabres is a big thing. Everybody knows, okay, yeah, in hockey, you see if the puck went into net, and they play it in really slow motion. They zoom in on it. They draw on top of the screen to show you lines and things. That is called telestration. Tele like television, and stration like illustration. So telestration. So a good telestration app is Coach's Eye for that, because you can draw on the screen and show things. So I can demonstrate that today too within these here.
It's like a Google Doc, pull this up here.
Yes, if you I mentioned in the beginning, I think when you walked in I may have already said it, but if you go to my blog, which is robztraining.com, you will see the first entry is the FETC workshops, and that green sheet is the second one down right there. That's the link to it. Yep. So let's do a couple of app demonstrations here using the iPad. What I'm going to do is switch over here now to, we'll do Screencast first. All right, what I have, and I should explain the background behind this, is I have my iPad connected so you can see the screen here through my laptop, and I'm doing that wired and not wirelessly. Is anyone familiar with that yet, how you do that? This is only a couple months old that Apple has allowed us to do this. Here's the bottom line. I had to install on my MacBook here the latest operating system, which is called Yosemite. So it's 10.9, I think? The latest operating system. It's free. If you have a Mac laptop or desktop, you install it for free. And on your mobile device, on your tablet, your iPhone, or your iPad, you have to install iOS 8, the latest version. So that forced me to upgrade to get the latest operating system there. So once those two pieces of the criteria are met, you now can use your traditional charging cable, your lightning cable, USB cable, connected between the laptop and the iPad. And in order to make it show up, you use QuickTime. QuickTime is always installed on every Mac. And when you go to QuickTime, you go to File, then New Movie Recording. And it's as if you're going to use your webcam to record something, but instead of recording your webcam, you choose from the options list here. Let's see here, I hit the wrong button there. You go to File, New Movie Recording, and then you have to select the name of the iPad. And sometimes it's a little bit funny how it comes up. But see, there it is. This is my wife's iPad, so it says Amanda's iPad. I choose that, and then it's supposed to, if I give it a little movement there, then it comes up. So the nice thing here is there's a little bit of latency. When I move my finger here, you're seeing it about a second later. But this is great for doing live demonstrations and not having to worry about Wi-Fi issues. Because before this existed, I had to use an app called Air Server or Reflector. Anybody familiar with those? Okay, you've seen that before. Those apps are good, but it depends on how good your Wi-Fi is. And in an environment like this, where there's a lot of devices trying to connect, I'd be presenting and all of a sudden it would drop out and I can't demonstrate. So I like the fact that I'm hardwired and I don't have to worry about losing any Wi-Fi issues. And because I'm able to do this, now we combine two technologies into one. I can make a screencast of my screen, which means I'd be making a screencast of me doing iPad stuff. So this has been my trick now, to make a screencast for someone, showing how to do stuff on iPads, but not having to point a physical lens of a camera at the device and record my fingers touching it and stuff. So it's been a great way to do that. So that's how I'm going to be demonstrating to you guys here today is through that technique. All right, so I've installed all of my stuff in one folder here. A lot of this was from yesterday's workshop, but I'll give you a little highlight overview. Screencast is a free app. It's made by the same company we were talking about before, by TechSmith. I like it because it is simple. That's the good part about it. But I don't like it because it's simple, which is also a bad part of it. Meaning that you can do a lot when you have a simple app in terms of just, let me draw on the screen, record my voice. But it doesn't have the ability to re-record over certain parts, or to save it to the camera roll, or do some of the fancy stuff that you start to want to do after you get involved with screencasting. So I like it as a good entry point for people, so that's why I recommend it. Let's say I was going to do a quick lesson on algebra, how to solve 4x. So I will set up an equation here first. Let's say I'll use that pen. I'll say 2x plus 2 equals 10. So our goal is to figure out how to solve that. So I kind of set the stage first before I hit the record button. And now I will begin recording. So I'll hit the red button in the corner. Gives me the countdown. Hi everybody, it's Mr. Z, and today we're going to solve for 2x plus 2 equals 10. What we want to figure out here is, what is this? This letter x here is a number, and what number is that? So let's get started. Let's take 2 away from both sides. Now why am I doing that? Well, that's because if you have plus 2 and minus 2, they negate themselves out. So what you're left with is just 2x on that side. Now on the other side of the equal sign, I got to take into account what's here, and we have 10 minus 2, so we know that that is 8. All right, so now we're left with 2x equals 8. We want to get that x all by itself. So since it's tied to it by multiplication, we've learned the opposite of multiplication is division. So I can divide it, which essentially crosses that out and leaves me with x on that side. But because I did something on the left, means I also have to do it on the right. So here we're looking at 8 divided by 2. If you remember from math class, that is 4. So there is our answer, x equals 4. So when we're coming back into here, this is actually 2, well, it's hard for me to draw that, times 4 minus 2 equals 10. That's what that whole thing looks like if we get rid of the x and we replace it. All right, so I hope that makes sense to you. If not, let me know by making me a screencast, and thank you for watching. And so students will do that. I'll make a screencast for them, they'll make one for me, and we'll go back and forth with those conversations, meaning we don't have to be face-to-face necessarily. So this is happening outside of class time. That's definitely a benefit. Now, because I'm hooked up through the projector here, you won't hear my audio if I were to play it back, but the video would be playing back now if I hit play. And in order to get this out, all I have to do is in the bottom right-hand corner, just hit share, and it shares it out now as a link. When it's done, that link will be available to me up at the top area here. I would be able to click there, and as you can see, it's currently uploading it. So another benefit here, because it's simple, is notice there is no login. I didn't need any usernames or passwords or email addresses, so this makes it very easy for students and teachers to make screencasts and then just usually email the link to the teacher. So if I go to one that's been done before, like this one was done before, at the bottom center there is that blue share button. I can click on that, and then the most common thing we will do is email that link out. So I'll say email link, pulls up a familiar looking compose box here. Let's say I'll send it to myself so I have it. And the link is already there. It says, here is my Screencast video. So when I send that, it sends me a link so that now I can watch it on any browser, on any device. You don't have to worry about Flash or any of those issues because this is HTML5. This will play on an iPad, an Android device, desktop, laptop, you name it. So it plays across all devices. Other benefits too is it'll play by speed is controlled. So if you want to speed it up and hear the person talk really fast like this, you can go to 1.5 speed, or you can change it to 0.5 speed so they are talking like this and it's going much slower. So it's nice that the child can speed up or slow down the speed of it, and they can actually right click on it in the browser and download as an MP4, download that video. So that is a kind of a workaround way to get your stuff off of the iPad, is once it's on a web page, right click, download it, and now you have the source file, the MP4 file. So that one is called Screenchomp. It's been around for a long time. In fact, it hasn't even been updated lately because I'm suspecting that what's going to happen is it's going to be merged together with another app, which I don't think I have installed on here, but it's called Nomia. And Nomia is an app that TechSmith has just acquired within the past couple of months. So between Screenchomp and Nomia, there's a lot of capability there. One's a basic level, one's an advanced level. I think they're going to merge them together or do something like that. So if I could predict the future, that's what I think is coming down the road from the TechSmith company. But besides them, there are some other companies out there. The bottom center one, EduCreations, is another common one that people have used. EduCreations is nice because here you can have the ability to search for images right inside. I'll show you a finished one here that I made yesterday, and then I'll show you the workflow on how to get there. Let's see if it's going to open though. It's not opening. Let's try that again. All right, if it's acting funny, it might be because of the way I'm connected to the projector. I'm going to force close it, and we'll go back and try again. There we go. All right, so what I did in this, my objective was take a sentence, like at the bottom there, and identify in that sentence where are the nouns, verbs, and adjectives. Once you got that, put them in where they fall. So Rob is a noun. Yeah, I meant to say instead of Joe, I meant to be Rob. So I got the name in there. I took a picture of myself, put that in, and then you can actually add images off the web too. So if I were to do that again, here's the one I did from yesterday. So at the bottom, Rob was hungry, so he ate an orange. I circled in blue all my nouns, and then I put them up there, and then I took a picture of myself holding an orange and put that in. Then ate, I didn't have a picture of me eating, so I went out to the web and grabbed an image and threw that into place. And to show you how easy this workflow is, actually this is my draft. Let's go to the adjectives one now. I will hit record. All right, everybody, now it's time to do the adjectives. So let's take our pen, and I want to go with the color of purple, and I'm going to circle my adjectives here. The adjective was hungry, I believe, right? Hungry is a describing word. Is that right? Am I getting that right? I think I'm doing this right. Yeah, adjectives. So let's say adjectives is our hungry. I'm going to tap in here and type in, because that's a description word, right? Color should be purple. Now, as I was typing that in, notice the red bar across there. It says recording is paused while you enter text. That's a smart idea, because why should the viewer sit there and watch me type? That's a very menial task. They don't need to see that. So the app automatically pauses for you so that you can type stuff in. So I'm ready to resume, so here we go. Okay, so now we're going to get a picture to put in for adjectives. Pause. So now I paused it. I'm going to add in a picture underneath hungry by going to the plus sign, and the center one there that looks like a picture, I'll choose that. And you know what, I should have my laser pointer, because that's going to be easier for me to reference that right there. So when I grab a picture, it doesn't have to come from the camera roll necessarily. This app has essentially a Google image search capability built right into it. So you can stay inside of the app and go out to the web and get pictures. So along the bottom here, I'm going to use that option right there to search. And if I say hungry, I don't know what's going to come up, but we'll see. It's the equivalent of doing a Google image search. So let's say that one looks like it's indicating hungry. I can put that in, maybe make it a little bit smaller, and I'll resume my recording. All right, so now you see I put in the picture of hungry. This person over here is very hungry. So thank you for watching our nouns, verbs, and adjectives. I'm going to give you a sentence, and you guys will do the same thing for us. All right, so that is a 1 minute and 40-second long video. I think this would be great, especially for parents, because maybe the ELA is not the best example. Maybe math is a better example. With all this crazy Common Core math that's going on now, parents learn it a different way, and we're trying to help our kids with it. If the teacher would make a video using an app like this, where we can hear their voice, show their explanation and their reasoning, and the teacher then posts this online, now that there's some parent education that can take place. The parent can watch it and say, okay, so she wants me or he wants me to teach it that way, and reinforce that when I work on homework with my child. This might be a great way to do that. Because with your iPad, you've got the camera built in, you've got the mic built in, you don't have to worry about file formats. It makes a nice streamlined way doing it on a tablet as compared to the traditional way doing it on a desktop. It takes away a lot of the technical knowledge that's needed to make screencasts when it's all in one. So any questions on that workflow? That's my demonstration for EduCreations and ScreenChomp. Let me see where I'm at here with my outline. And make sure I leave us time to play our game show event at the end too. All right, now we can go to... I'll come back to doing some app demonstrations. Let me just make sure I cover the other recommendations I have here. So our recommended tablet or smartphone stands. It is challenging when you're filming stuff to make sure that your hand's not shaking, especially when you do hand recording videos, which I'm going to demonstrate here in a moment. So to solve that problem, you've got a couple of options. I'll go from the cheapest to the most expensive. The cheapest one here is the Anchor tablet stand, which is this stand right here. It's made aluminum and plastic. I like it because it's adjustable for angles, so if you want it to be more like that type of angle for upright looking, it works. If you want it to be more of a relaxed angle, to be able to put your tablet in for most likely typing, that's a much lower angle. And so this stand here is on Amazon for about 10 bucks, I believe. Yep, so for 10 bucks. Nice and small, so you can put it in a laptop bag or carry it around with your stuff. And I use it, I was using it here just a moment ago, to give me a nice angle when I'm typing, so I can leave it just like that. So that is the initial one. And again, it works with smartphone or tablet, any brand, any size, any thickness, which is nice because you never know what future devices are going to be sized like. Then we get up to the Boomerang tablet stand. This is a neat device that was designed by a colleague of mine that lives probably about 20 minutes from me, and he sells these worldwide now. He came up with an idea. It's called the Boomerang stand because this itself looks like the boomerang. It's 3 pieces that assemble together, so I carried it here today in my laptop case. We're giving this away today as one of our door prizes. And by having it on the tabletop, just like some of the pictures we're showing there, your tablet or your smartphone can lay on top with the little notch there is where the camera lens would go. And now you can work underneath it, recording stuff, or just using it as a live demonstration for doing like an overhead projector in a sense. And you can use it as a document camera and as a stand to record video footage. So it works quite well. It solves the problem of having your device about a foot up from the tabletop surface and not having any shake. And it's collapsible, so you can take it from classroom to classroom. He sells these for about $69, I think they are, $59, $69, something like that. They're available on Amazon and then also through his website, and they do take school purchase orders. So he gives me these to give out and likes when I promote it. So I myself use one, so I figured I'd bring one along. and show you guys how that works. Then if you need to be height adjustable, this was the best option that I researched that I could come up with. I just received this from the UPS man like days before I left to come to this conference. I was going to bring it with me, but it is heavy. Even though it collapses down to be portable, it's still, I wanted to be under the 50-pound limit on Southwest Airlines, so I had to be careful. But that's what it looks like collapsed. What it does is it allows you to have height adjustment. So it takes the concept of the boomerang, but it makes it so that your device now can go upright or be sideways, usually for FaceTime use. And then if it's pointing down, you can go higher or lower with it and adjust for the height. So there's a nice little YouTube video there that explains all the different ways that this contraption can be used. And that one is $99. There's other ones out there, but they're usually about $150, $200, $250. I think Belkin makes one of them. And I didn't want to spend more than $100 on something, and I wanted it to be as lightweight as possible. So from all of my research, this is what I came across as the best solution if you need something that is height adjustable. So that is called the Just Stand. Because I think the guy that created it, his name was Justin. So it's kind of an innovative way to do that. So I'm going to use the boomerang now to do a video. So let's minimize this. Actually, no, let me set the stage first by showing you the finished product. This is like a cooking show. I'll show you the end result, and then I'll show you how I got to that end result. I want to get to my triangle videos. So that's going to be under my school account. And I need to switch this here to here. Google Drive. My current unit of instruction we're doing is Lego robotics, and because of that, the kids have to program robots, and I'm having them I'm calling it the Mission to Mars. Out in our hallway, we have the square floor tiles. I'm numbering those floor tiles like this image here shows. So this is the document that I'm using. So I'm sending them on a mission. I'm giving them a sequence, a pattern that they must follow. For example, start on I, then go to J, then go to L, then O, and then A. So they have to program the robot to do a little pattern. To figure out which way that pattern goes, it involves figuring out the a squared plus b squared equals c squared, the Pythagorean theorem. Because they know that each floor tile is 24 inches by 24 inches. But what happens when you got to go diagonal? Got to be able to figure out how long that is. So it gave me a natural point to teach Pythagorean theorem. And they don't really learn that, I think, until 9th or 10th grade math. And I have these kids in 7th and 8th grade. So for me to teach, not being a math teacher, and having to quickly get them on board with how this works, I figured let's make a screencast so that they can rewatch this anytime they need to and watch it outside of class. So when they get to class, they can work on programming the robot. So that's the purpose behind it. So what I did is I made a triangles lesson, and I need my videos. Here they are. So I call these hand videos. You see my hands talking through the steps on how to solve for the missing pieces. So let's show you a finished one first. Equilateral triangle. Okay, triangle detectives, see if you can figure this one out. This is pretty easy, even though we're looking at, whoa, we got 5 blanks up here. That's a lot of stuff to fill in, right? Well, whenever you're dealing with an equilateral triangle, it has all the same length of sides and all the angles are equal. So just by knowing this piece here, all angles are equal. Remember, all 3 angles in a triangle, A plus B plus C, has to equal 180. And since they're all equal, can't I just take 180 and divide by 3? The answer is yes, you can. It would be exactly that. It would be 60 degrees. All right, so now that you see what one looks like, I'll show you how I made that. Let me minimize this, and I'll maximize the iPad screen. Okay, get this out of the way. So we'll set the stage up here. I have the Belkin stand. I have my paper, I think is on my laptop. So a traditional worksheet that you might already have that exists. A lot of teachers are still, dealing in the world of paper. So you take what you already have, and now you digitize it by putting it underneath the tablet stand. And then you take your tablet, and you're going to just simply use the camera. Now you could use the camera app, but what I like to do is combine steps together. I'm going to shoot myself right into the Google Drive app. So how many are familiar with the Google Drive app? Okay, so you guys have seen it. So this is what it looks like. I'm in my school account already. Upper right-hand corner is the plus sign. You know what? Let me take it a step back. I want to make sure I know where this video is going to go first. So yesterday I did make a folder in here called FETC Wednesday. I'll just go in that folder that I've created. All right, so I'm going to now hit plus, and I'm going to say use camera at the bottom there, and that pulls up the camera. If I switch it here to video, all right, now let me see, the lens of my camera is here. So we're going to put it so that the notch that you're seeing, where am I here? Right here. This notch here is where the lens of the camera is going to stick out from. So when I lay it down, it looks like that. So now using my pen, which I don't have one, let's pretend I did, you'd be able to see my hands as I'm drawing things. Oh, it went away. Let's bring it back. Come on back. Come on. I see this might be because I'm recording with Camtasia at the same time. It's trying to record, that's why. Let's launch it again. New movie recording. Choose our iPad as the source. And now move it on the screen. I might just have to explain in theory how this works. And the reason why is, again, because I'm recording with Camtasia. It's fighting between cameras. Camtasia wants to use the camera, and so does this at the same time. All right, so I'll just explain in theory how it works here. You have it over here. You're drawing underneath, and on top of my screen, I can see my hand as I'm drawing. So I can hit record. I can make sure everything looks the way that it should. When I'm done, I hit stop, and it automatically starts uploading into Google Drive. So I don't even have to make that part happen. Just by hitting stop and OK, it shoots it right into Google Drive. And that's what I did for those triangle videos that you guys saw moments ago there. I just shot 6 of them. I did that really during a planned period, so it didn't take additional time. I didn't have to do it over the weekend or over some evening, but I did that during a planning period, and I was able to have those videos ready to go. So now, as I've been gone the last 3 days this week, the kids have been using those when they're working on programming their robots. So it still allows for progress to happen through screencasting as your medium. All right, back to our outline. So those are the triangle videos. And that we don't need anymore. Close off some of the stuff we don't need here. Okay, so let's now talk about cloud-based locations where you store and access your screencasts. I hinted at these a little bit before. I like screencast.com as an option because it's free and it's one of the most convenient ways with the 3-headed arrow there that I hit to upload things. If you go to screencast.com, you'll see information on how to create an account. 2 gig of storage, 2 gig of monthly bandwidth, which is plenty. Most teachers find that works for them. If you need to go pro, it's $10 a month. Yeah, and you can buy it by the month or by the year. I think it's 25 gig of storage, so it's an insane amount that nobody's ever going to fill up. So most people can get by on the free version there. YouTube is a good free option, but school filtering issues may exist. How many of you have YouTube blocked at your schools for students? All right, yeah, some do and some don't. Our school blocks it, general YouTube access. I guess they have a new education-only version of it where students can get to videos that have been posted by their teachers. But getting there sometimes is half the battle because they might try to type in youtube.com and get blocked. So it's not always the best option. That's why I tend to stick more with Google Drive as an option where I can control things there. How about SchoolTube? Has anyone ever heard of SchoolTube? SchoolTube is like YouTube, but because every video on here has been uploaded by a teacher or by a student, there's some vetting that goes on in place. It won't go live on the site until a SchoolTube employee approves the video or a teacher that the student is tied to. I don't use them as much as I used to. They've changed their site a lot, but this is also another good alternative place to have academic videos, even recorded Board of Ed meetings, student projects, you name it. We had a lot of our newscasts on here too. So SchoolTube, consider them as another option too for storing videos. Again, a free account, no advertisements, not limited to how long the videos can be. I think the file can be like 2 gig or greater to upload. So you can really put a whole, a school assembly or a sporting event or something up there that's hours long and it would be acceptable by them. Other resources to explore. I just copied this from my class yesterday. If you are interested in books, websites, podcasts, videos, anything to do with flipped learning, these are what I recommend to people to check out first because there's a lot of information out there when it comes to flipped learning and people tend to get lost when they jump into it and say, yeah, I want to learn more about it, but where do I start? These are good resources that I have my grad students look at to start out, so links for you guys to check out there if you're so inclined to. And then we can get to before I get to the questions and other workflows that you guys might have requests for, I do want to play our Kahoot game show style game to give away our 4 items today. The first 4 there are things to give out. Everybody gets the coupon code if they're in the workshop today. So first off, have you used Kahoot before? Okay, anybody else? Just one? Okay, so Kahoot is a game show style platform. It's web-based, so you don't need to install anything. And I have set up a 5-question game show style quiz for us to take. So let me show you what that looks like here. It's getkahoot.com. And I've already created an account, so I'm going to sign in. And this is free. Yep, this is free. This is a great way to do practice testing, surveys, anything where you want to engage all the kids and get feedback from each of them individually. And as long as you have any mobile device with a browser, it works. There's nothing you have to install ahead of time. So let's get to the one I'm going to do here, my closing game show. All right, so the game pin, yes. I'm not going to randomize the order, not going to play the music. I'm good to go. So I'll hit launch. All right, so on your mobile devices, no matter what you got, a laptop or a tablet or phone, you're going to go to the website kahoot.it. So in your browser, go to the website kahoot.it, and it will ask you for the game pin. And when you get there and you put in that game pin that's showing on the screen, it'll then say put in a nickname. And I would suggest put in your first name so we can see, or a nickname if you want. So we got Coach Z, we got Christopher's in. So at this point I look around and I see how many players should there be in the room. So we're looking at 5 or so. So I give the kids a chance to get in. And the first time we do this, it takes a little bit of explanation. But after that, when they see this screen, they just know, okay, there's the game pin, jump right in. And I really don't even have to say anything anymore at this point. They know how to get into the game show event. We'll use it for practicing for a test the day before to see this helps them to see, do I know the information or what do I need to study to do better on the test. Really good for vocabulary terms and things like that. All right, so I see 4 out of 5. And I'll wait for our 5th person to join. And I put in some general trivia questions. We'll see if you guys know the answers here.
I think it's only 4 of us.
Oh, why did I count 5? I must have. Oh, the person in the back is not there anymore. Okay. So you guys are good to go. So we'll hit start now. So here comes your first question on the screen. There's your question. And there's your answer choices. So on your screens, you have your way to respond. The question is there right up here. And it looks like 2 of you have answered. So once the next 2 have answered, it will reveal to us the answer. There it is. So the answer is the 35th. 2 of you in the room got it right. And therefore, when we go to the next screen, we'll see the leaderboard. We have Coach Z is in the top, followed by Evan, and the leaderboard shows up after each question. And on your screens, you're probably seeing what rank you are right now, and it says you need so-and-so points to catch up to so-and-so. So as you can imagine, in a class full of middle school kids, when they see this, there's a natural competitiveness. They're like, okay, I got to get the next question right, so I'm ahead of Johnny over there who's in 8th place. So I get a lot of that going on. And of course, the kids know each other, so it becomes more of like, I'm gonna out-seat you out of 3rd place and that kind of stuff. So here comes our next question. It shows it real big here first. And then the question is still up there at the top. The music bothers some kids, and then other kids like it. It's like, either way. All right, so 2 people in the room got that one right. We get to see the leaderboard again. All right, and it looks like Christopher is now on the board with some points there. And Evan is now in 1st place. Here we go to our next question. It's 92 million miles, and very good. It's unanimous. Everybody got that one correct. And this is good because now I can, if there was a lot of people that made mistakes, we could clarify that. We could say, well, a lot of you thought it was this, but why did you think that? And then they explain it and say, oh, okay, well, you were figuring that was the equilateral triangle, not the isosceles triangle. And it really, it's great for clarifying stuff like that. You do get to pick the pictures that you put in when you build it. So typically I'll take some sort of photo that's related to the question. When I was teaching ruler reading, that was good because then I could show a picture of a ruler and draw arrows on which pieces and say, which one is 3/8, which one is 7/8, and then they would identify it that way. So pretty neat way to use images along with it too. And everybody's on the board now with points. And here's our next question. As you'll see, you can have more than one possible right answer. So it's not just one answer is right up there. You really could have 1, 2, or 3 possible right answers when you do that. And so, yeah, that's right.
I guess it's not your Bills and I'm a Dolphins fan, so we just...
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
20 years down the road.
Yeah, with the new owners for the Bills, they're trying for that. They're even talking about building a new stadium somewhere in downtown Buffalo, too. So we'll see what the future holds for that. So here we come to our final question, a triangle question. And if you notice too, the quicker you answer, the more points you get. The way it works is right away it's worth 1,000 points and then counts down from 30, and when it gets to the bottom it's only worth 500 points. So in class I can look at the results based on right versus wrong, but I can also look at it based on quickness, which is another interesting level you can add on to the data.
Did you guess too soon?
Yes. And actually, as of a week ago, they made it so that after you answer, it immediately hides how you answered so that your colleagues around you can't look at your screen and see what you did. They only added that about a week ago. In fact, we're going to be using this next week, I think Thursday, for our annual geography bee in the auditorium, where there's 700 kids. They're going to be invited to bring in their mobile devices, and during 3 different parts in the program, they're going to say, okay, now take out your devices. We're going to put a question up there on the screen. Let's see if the audience, how they would do. And then at the end of it, they put their devices away so that it's not just out the whole time. But we've done things like that with Poll Everywhere and Socrative, other tools that are in the same genre, to get audience participation. And that makes the whole thing very excitable. That's almost what kids are looking forward to, is the chance to be audience participation in these events that we do in the auditorium. So it shows us our final scoreboard, and we're going to give the first place choice to Evan for the prizes. So let me do something here first. I need to go to, I want to show you the feedback and results. So on your screen now, you're seeing the ability to kind of temperature check how this was. Choose those options across how you're feeling, if you'd recommend this tool, if you felt it was a learning experience, and the funness level. And then as people do that, it populates our results up there. This is kind of neat because some days when I figure, I made a really fun event, and I see, they didn't really like it so much. Or maybe they thought it was a worthwhile learning event, but they really wouldn't recommend it to other classes. So maybe I need to change my question. So it's an interesting way to get feedback from people.
This feedback goes to you right now.
It goes to me, yep. And it puts it into a spreadsheet, which I'm going to show you next here. So let's go to final results. And I can hit, they just added this too about a week ago, the ability to send it directly into Google Drive, which is kind of neat because that's where I would store it anyways, but now it does it in one step. So I click Save. It's dropping it into my Google Drive account. It's an Excel spreadsheet, but I can still open it in Google Drive. And you can even look at it here's by correct answers, by the score based on how quick you answered, and then it does break it down by green is correct and red is incorrect by questions itself. Looking at it in Excel, I think makes it better. Yeah, because this is just a preview window. It's not showing me everything. But in a spreadsheet format, you can then sort your columns. So if I'm interested to see especially question 3, how did everyone do on question 3, I can drill down to just that. All right, so for the prizes,